What is going on, everyone? We are back with another episode of our podcast. We're the Football Tailgaters, and we talk everything about the NFL, including your picks for bets and fantasy. I have here with me James, our Jets fan, Andy, our unbiased NFL fan, and myself, Aaron, a Cowboys fan. Finally, after 18 weeks of a roller coaster season for the NFL, it has come down to this. The best of the AFC and the NFC going head-to-head. And no, I'm not talking about the newly implemented Pro Bowl flag football game. I'm talking about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. One of the biggest events in American history. I'm kidding. On February 12th, the Kansas City Chiefs, who dominated the season with a solid 14-3 win-loss record and finished as the number one seed, is going up against, as much as I hate to say this, if I can get through without gagging, the Philadelphia Eagles, a team who sat in the same conversation at the start of this season as being part of the worst division in the league, the NFC least, which after they proved everyone wrong and finished as the first seed as well with the same record, 14-3. Today's topics will consist of our Super Bowl picks, Kansas City versus the Eagles, Philadelphia. We'll go over if the NFL's rigged after some questionable calls with the Chiefs versus Bengals game. Where will Aaron Rodgers go after a sour ending to the Green Bay Packers season? We'll also go over who is better, Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts. What do you think of flag football for this Pro Bowl and the Pro Bowl games this season taking place in Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada? And lastly, Kellen Moore, can he elevate the Chargers after parting ways with the Dallas Cowboys after the Chargers went as first-round exits against the Jaguars? So, pretty good games, I would say, this past Sunday, except for... So I want to say this now that I'm remembering. The Eagles-49ers game, I was kind of nervous about it, and then when Brock Purdy went down, I thought it was all done from there. But I want to say real quick that it was hilarious. I have a Philadelphia Eagles fan neighbor across from me, and he had his windows open, and I heard him screaming the whole time. He was so hyped. He was screaming all kinds of things. And it just reminded me of how crazy the Eagles fans are. But let's start off with our first question, and we'll go with Yams on our Super Bowl picks for this coming February 12th. Who do you pick, Yams? Kansas City Chiefs to win, or do you pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win?
The Kansas City Chiefs are a more talented and better coached team, so they should be able to win this game with a good, comfortable margin. Though the Eagles have a scheme that's been kind of unstoppable, teams know what they're going to throw at them, and they just can't stop the Eagles. But I don't see Jalen Hurts. I'm going with the better quarterback here, and I go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm going to completely disagree with you. The Kansas City Chiefs, they do have the best quarterback there, but he's still hurt. He wasn't very mobile against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Eagles, even though Jalen Hurts didn't play that well against the 49ers, they still have such a great scheme that they can just run all over the field. And they've played the San Francisco 49ers, the best defense in the league. I know they didn't have a quarterback, but it just shows how much of a dominance that team is. So I'm going to pick the Eagles.
I'm going to agree with Andy here. And after what they showed against that San Francisco defense, and yes, like you did say, having no quarterback did affect the situation, but I don't think it would have been that much different. Maybe they put up another 2 touchdowns at most, I think. Maybe a field goal as well. It's just a strong showing what they had. It's a very, very, very deadly duo they got here with Hurts and Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell as well. The running game is just so dynamic, and they got a really, really good defense too. The Kansas City Chiefs, they just have to hope that the defense is going to hold up. The secondary, the defensive line, they got to hold up against a crazy, crazy offense that they have. It's just... You thought the San Francisco offense was crazy. It might have been a completely different scenario with any other quarterback that wasn't, they're like fourth string, basically. I mean, who knows what it would have been like with Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's just, you can go on about that. But it is what it is. The game went that way, and this is going to be Mahomes trying to really do some magic here, but if we're being realistic here, I think the Eagles have this one.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, when you're watching the Super Bowl, you want a really big time matchup. And I think
Of course, who doesn't?
Yeah, this is the best matchup it can be. I know the 49ers, my kudos to them, respect that they went through 4 quarterbacks. And then Purdy was like just there, just basically just to stand there and give the ball. He couldn't even throw the ball at all. So, I mean, kudos to them. My respects to them. I think the Dallas Cowboys would have been a better game because of what happened with the 49ers, that they didn't have a quarterback. It would have been more exciting to watch, especially because it's a divisional rival. But unfortunately, the Cowboys just are not good. Or just, yeah, they have their problems, even though they look like a good team, present like a present, well wrapped and everything. But when you open it, it's just crap, honestly. So I think we're going to be watching a really good game here. I would like for Patrick Mahomes to not be injured, but unfortunately, he's injured. So I'm just going to give the edge to this for this Philadelphia Eagles team.
Yeah, they struggled against Cincinnati, and I mean, you got to credit Mahomes, though. He did it basically on one leg, and he's going to have to do it again. And this time against, I think, a better defensive line with the Eagles. Mahomes, I don't know how they're going to do it, man. It's going to be really interesting to see what they got. But this is definitely something to where the Kansas City Chiefs defense can hurt them. And if they can even hold up against Hurts and the running game, it's gonna be pretty good. And also, let's not forget the Chiefs wide receivers. They're like,
who are they?
They're gonna pull out. No, but they got Juju Smith injured, right? And then they got MVS. He's injured too.
Exactly. Who are they?
And,
honestly,
but come on, you can't discredit them for what they've done. Kadarius Toney as well.
That guy, I think, got caught one and then got hurt. No.
Man,
honestly, Kelsey is their main guy, and they're just gonna have to figure things out. And I mean, the other players are gonna be playing.
Okay, but how did they do it then? This whole season, 14-3 with no receivers.
I think Tyreek Hill leaving really hurt this team. They would have been a bigger team.
They're 14-3.
No, I get it, but they did struggle in a lot of games. I mean, they lost against the Colts. They barely won against the Texans.
Right.
There were some games that they just struggled big time. But
now you could say that maybe this is more of Andy Reid credit here, that what he's able to patch up.
Why not be enemy?
Huh?
Why not be enemy?
We don't know who it is. The enemy.
We don't know who it is.
Yeah, we don't know who it is.
But you usually go to the head coach because he's the one making those decisions, right? So it could be both. It could be a mixture of both, obviously. I'm not going to assume who, but I always go to whoever's the head honcho of that team, and it's obviously Andy Reid. What seems to be a lot of these risky play calls he does with, what was that one game, this past game with Chad Henne when he went for the 4th down and stuff like that. Like, you pull that kind of stuff, you need a good coach knowing what he's doing, and he has that kind of confidence in his team, and I think that's really what propels them forward and really separates them from any other team. It's leadership and just trust between these players. And I think that's something that can, as cheesy as it sounds, that can really help them out in this game against the Eagles. It's going to be a tough game for them.
For sure.
What about now, speaking about that game, the idea has been floating around about the whole, is the NFL rigged and stuff like that, after we keep seeing egregious calls being called and not being called left and right. Social media has been carrying this narrative very heavily, and not a peep out of the NFL. What do you guys think about the NFL being rigged, after continuous calls being missed or, having it being a wrong call? What do you guys think, James? Go first.
Obviously, I think it's rigged. That play where it was blown dead by the refs, the Chiefs got another play out of it. They had another play of down there. The referee was running onto the field to stop because there was a whistle blown, but no one heard the whistle. The Chiefs had the ball. Usually the audience is loud when the Bengals offense is on the field. There's no way that the audience is being loud when the offense is playing on the field. So, yeah, it's rigged.
So you're saying that Romo lied? He was saying that was loud. He was there.
Yes, Romo lied.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the loudest stadium, though.
It doesn't matter. The Chiefs were have the ball.
It's a playoff game. Look, okay.
It's
The
a playoff
Chiefs have
game,
the ball.
yeah.
Can you at least agree with me with that?
No, they have the ball.
They had the ball. There's no reason why it's that loud.
I
And
understand
you're not
that.
discrediting also Bengals fans being loud. I mean, the way the stadium is made, it's made for being loud. So I think whatever noise is being made, it just sounds louder than normal.
Yeah, so it was third down. The play happened, and then Mahomes got sacked. And so they were stopping one of the officials was stopping it, and nobody heard his whistle. So they basically, well, let me backtrack. I'm sorry. The play started. It was third down, and the official came running, blowing the whistle. Nobody saw him or heard him, even though there was a replay. I remember seeing a replay of him running down the field, but the play happened. Mahomes got sacked, and everybody was cheering that the Bengals got a sack and they were going to punt. But then they did a redo over, because there was a holding call on Eli Apple, the cornerback of the Cincinnati Bengals, on the previous play. So they gave for a do-over for the Chiefs to try again that down. Luckily, they didn't do anything. They had to punt later on. But again, these things happen. I don't think it was a rigged call. It wasn't like that situation with the Rams and the New Orleans Saints that it was a pass interference. There was so much time in the game, and if you put the blame on the refs for this type of situation, I mean, then you should have played better. Don't put the game on the hands of the refs to make a bad call. Honestly,
They should just let them play football. Like at the end of the game, obviously, what's his name? Usay.
Yeah, the player that
pushed
Mahomes
right.
outside of bounds. Yeah,
There was holding calls that should have been called. That would have offset that call.
Holdings missed way more often than you think.
Yeah, and they're called more often than when they need to be called. You know what I mean? The refs can control the game whenever they want, because you can call holding on practically every play. But it's up to the refs to call it, right? So they can change the outcome of the game.
for sure. But I don't think the refs want to, at the end of the game, be the ones to make the decision of who's going to win the game. So at those points, I do believe that the refs let the players play them a little bit more than earlier in the game. Of course, when you push Mahomes and everybody's watching in the sidelines, when he's out of bounds and you push him out, of course that's going to be a personal foul, especially how the league wants to protect these quarterbacks. But on stuff like that, like holdings and stuff like that, you can call holding on every single play probably.
Yes.
So,
these guys are human beings. You got to remember that. These guys are regular old people.
Yeah, they
just
get
doing
paychecks.
their own.
Who, the officials?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, other people get paychecks too around this. Like,
Oh, I am so sorry. They get paid under the table incentives. Should I be more specific on that? Yeah, they're getting paid to rig the game.
well, we don't know anything about that, and I think it's more of the pressure of the NFL kind of like looming on them because of the amount of just strictness they put on certain things like not pass interference, roughing the passer. How they get these calls all the time because they want these quarterbacks to not be touched. Basically, it's kind of like the same scenario. You complicate things a lot, and the NFL just complicates the rules, and they don't make it easy for the refs.
It's not, but don't change the outcome of the game. The last game of the punt, when it got to Sky Moore and he ran for a big play, the punt.
Mm-hmm.
There was there should have been called a block in the back or something like that, but I mean it obviously helped him to get in there to get as much as he can.
You know, Cincinnati Bengals had two opportunities before.
Yeah.
Burrow had an interception and they punted, which that was the Sky Moore punt return. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's not like Cincinnati didn't have a chance to win the game. They did have opportunities. It's just the Kansas City Chiefs came on through. I don't think there was any bad situations happening. Yes, I do agree that there was a lot of bad calls here and there, and they should have let the players play more than just in the end of the game. But I don't see it such an egregious calling that it just defined the game.
I really have a problem with the one with 3rd and 9 where the ref came onto the field and somehow the clock didn't stop. They let the clock run and then they stopped the clock and they didn't go back and review at what point the clock should have been. Like what should have been the right clock on the stadium there. And they just left it as is. The technology we have now, they should go back and say, this is what should be on the clock.
what it
that's
comes
just
down
lack
to,
of organization.
yeah, well, okay, I agree. Lack of
It
organization.
comes
And
down to where the money's at in Las Vegas. Gambling is a big, big, big business right now. Okay, you want to say I have a tight, tin foil hat on me? It's fine. I might be the crazy one here that thinks everything's rigged, but I do think so. Follow the money, and I think that's where we kind of obviously we'll never get our answer, right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
My last point here is that I just think the NFL should make these officials more accountable, or just put the best officials out there of the league. I believe some of these officials weren't the best ones that were officiating throughout the season. So you should put the best ones in the playoffs, which it counts even more than the regular
100%,
season.
100%.
So
100%.
Yeah, of course. So that's how they should do it, and just make it a little bit more. Just make it of a better product in the end.
No, yeah, you as the NFL, you really gotta put care into what really is the main events at this point. A lot of people have their eyes on these games because a lot of these people don't have their favorite teams playing in that playoff spot. So you get a lot of viewership. You got to be very careful with how you handle these games, and it's just the lack of organization, the lack of how they control these games, because they don't put the best people at those positions, I guess, to say it like that. You said it's a very good point, and I did notice that you got to put in your best referees that you got. And these referees, they got lives off. What I recently learned, I was saying it off podcast, is that these guys, they got their lives besides the field. They don't put their whole time into this. They got other jobs. You can see this. You can look it up. And it's just, they got to change the way they do their officiating. It's got to be kind of looked around. But we've been having this conversation for who knows how long. And especially, I think, really when it got highlighted was that Rams New Orleans play with the just absolute most confusing pass interference no call that led to pass interference call reviews, which then led to more complicated stuff because they review it and then they just in their opinion they don't think that's how it goes. Not pass interference, it is.
Too much,
Right.
It was just slowing it down, just making it very inconsistent. So they took it away again. And now we're back to the same spot. So it's a never-ending story, and I think it's just something that you have to deal with. And some people are always going to complain. You're never going to make it everyone happy.
Perfect, yeah.
So why not move on to something a little bit more exciting, maybe for Yams a little bit here. Who knows? I don't know what you think of this. But Aaron Rodgers, he ended his season with the Green Bay Packers, not in the playoffs. That's pretty surprising. Not really, not at all, because the Green Bay Packers don't know how to really manage their team. Aaron Rodgers seems like he basically had one foot out the door with this organization, and now there's this question looming. Where will Aaron Rodgers go, if he does go anywhere, this next offseason coming up? What do you think, James? Is he going anywhere? What's going on?
Well, let's start with me, I guess. I think he lands with the Jets.
Big surprise.
They got Nathaniel Hackett, and he was in the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers, so they're familiar with each other. They also have the pieces for him. Granted, he's not the type where let's go work together, let's go work out, and let's build rapport. But I feel like it's a good landing spot. I think that might be a number one spot for him to land. If it's not the Jets, it might be the Raiders or the Tennessee Titans.
I believe he's going to stay with the Packers. He has a great offensive line there. His wide receivers, we saw Watson, which came out of nowhere to be a really good wide receiver. They might have to do some tweaking there and here and there with other wide receivers, but that's the best place for him. That's where he has been his whole career. I think he can finish his career there. If he goes to the Jets, they have a horrible offensive line, so he's not going to have that much time in the pocket. It's still newbies out there, just like the Green Bay Packers, so it's not much difference. If he goes to Tennessee, which is another place, it's also an offensive line that's not that great. I mean, he does have a big-time running back, but wide receivers are also not amazing. So I think he stays with the Packers.
So according to DraftKings Sportsbook, they have the odds on where Rodgers is going for 2023, and they have number one with the Packers, Raiders, and then Jets, Dolphins, 49ers, Patriots, Commanders, and so on, right? I don't think the 49ers is out of the question at all, and I would really like to see him go there if Tom Brady doesn't go there, because I feel like the 49ers really need to find a quarterback. Oh, I don't know if I should say this. That doesn't break easily. The Jets, I would like to see as well, but I don't know. It's just something about the Jets that it's just they're still pretty young. I don't know if maybe it's 1 year too soon to get someone like Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I just have a hunch. And for the Raiders, I kind of like him fitting there too. A reunion with Davante Adams after being separated. That would be pretty cool. I don't see him staying with the Packers. And I kind of like the idea of the reunion with Davante Adams. And I think he kind of wants that because he just already has that chemistry. And the Raiders are capable of going to the playoffs if they can fix their issues that they have. So I see him landing with the Raiders.
The problem that I see with the Raiders is that you're going to go into a division which you have the Chargers, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. The Broncos are still a question mark. I'm giving Russell Wilson a pass for this season. I don't know who their coach is going to be. There's been some reports that maybe it could be Jim Harbaugh still. That's still not out of the question. And I don't think he wants to go there and just and compete to go to the Super Bowl within that division. The easiest one would be Tennessee because he has the Colts, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, which they are getting better. But, I mean, put some pieces on Tennessee, some wide receivers, even though I'm not a big fan of the free agents wide receivers that are coming out. You never know. That would be the best place in order to win that division. Now, for the 49ers, that is the dream for any quarterback if they want a ready team. Yes. It has everything: defense, wide receivers, running game, offensive line. Perfect. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brady or Rodgers pick that team.
Would you say it's like their number one landing spot that they have here?
For sure. And I think it's going to be Tom Brady because that's his team that when he was growing up, he wanted to be. I mean, even though he's going to be away from his kids, and I know his kids are going to be in Miami, how many years are you giving this? 1, maybe 2 max? So I think it'll be a perfect spot for him, for the 49ers to actually win another Super Bowl. That's all they need. It's a quarterback.
Now with the Raiders situation, they got to deal with, isn't Josh Jacobs owed a contract right now?
Yeah, he might not be back with the Raiders.
Yeah, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. I know they do have a franchise tag. They could tag him. But then I believe Waller's up as well. Renfro's still there. And, I mean, you do have Adams there as well. But I'm not a fan of Josh McDaniels, honestly. I'm not a fan of him. I've seen him coach too many times within the Broncos and now here with the Raiders. I did not like at all what was going on with the team. Davante Adams was missing in the first half of the season. The best player there. And they started getting something going on. And then you bench Derek Carr. Seriously? I mean, I know you want to get rid of him, but he was the best quarterback there on from the quarterbacks that you have. That was a total disrespect, in my opinion.
The bottom line here, I don't think that Rodgers goes back to the Packers. I think he ends up leaving the Packers. I think they're done. I think it's been confirmed within the organization that they are moving on.
I would say that, yes, there would be kind of some worry with the Raiders. There's a lot of question marks there. Now, if you're kind of saying, let's say for common sense, if you go by just how it looks, the way that Andy was rolling it out here, it just doesn't seem like a lot of quarterbacks would really want to go in that situation. And I just really mean Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So that's something where, I don't know, maybe they just don't want to go there because they don't want to deal with the situation they're in, because I think that's the rockiest situation that they have out of a lot of the teams here on the list. And I think the 49ers is a great spot for either of them.
Yeah. And my last point that I want to say is, look what happened when Bruce Arians left Tampa Bay to be a consultant or whatever he is in the Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles became the head coach and the team just dismantled. They went bottom.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying.
Yeah. And Josh McDaniels, it's not like he is an amazing head coach. So you need a really good head coach. And we've seen it with Shanahan. Are you kidding? He had 4 quarterbacks going through the whole season, and he went to the NFC Championship again, back to back. And he went to the Super Bowl a few years back as well with Jimmy Garoppolo. All he needs is a quarterback. Sean McVay figured it out, and he needed a quarterback, and he won a Super Bowl. That's what Sean McVay needs to do.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be in that situation as a player with the Raiders because there's a lot of uncertainty, and I would want to avoid that. So why not move to another type of quarterback question here? And let's start some comparisons here. We got Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. They're in the same division. They've been kind of compared a lot throughout these seasons. And we're going to throw this question out. It's been asked before, I'm sure. But right now, as it stands, who is better, Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts?
I'll start this one. I really believe it's not that much of a separation from these two. Right now, of course, it's Jalen Hurts. But we haven't seen too much of Jalen Hurts to just say, you know what, he's just tremendously way better than Dak Prescott. I think it's pretty close. The biggest difference here is the coaching with the system that they have in place. If you put Dak Prescott in the system with the 49ers, I'm sure the 49ers would be at the Super Bowl right now because they had a way better weapons than the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, right now, as we speak, it's Jalen Hurts just because of the system, and I would actually take Jalen Hurts if I have that system.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jalen Hurts does have a system that's working for him. He has the weapons that help him. They have a run game that they all run, right? Including himself. I guess right now, if you're asking him currently, Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback, and he's the better runner too. He's more accurate right now, as you can probably debate that Dak hasn't been so accurate, at least this year, right? If I compare in history, but I'm just comparing right now, I think Jalen's a better quarterback right now.
There is an edge to Jalen Hurts, and I think it's mainly because he was treated better under a better system. And I don't think Dak Prescott really got the same treatment, and he's been in some weird situations, and especially with the whole offensive coordinator talk here that we're going to have in a little bit. I do see a little bit of an edge with Jalen Hurts with his decision making and his accuracy throwing the ball. I think that's mainly what sticks out to me when I'm trying to see what makes Jalen Hurts better than Dak Prescott. With the running, it's because Dallas hasn't really been using him the similar way that Jalen Hurts. Because Dak Prescott can't be like a Jalen Hurts. But I think that's not how
you said that he can't be, or he can be.
He can be.
Yeah, for sure. And you can actually see in this and yesterday's game, the 49ers against the Eagles, he was running around trying to find an open wide receiver. It's not like he was always in the pocket. Dak Prescott, they put him constantly in the pocket without using his legs. So he does try to move from time to time, but it's not as a system for like Jalen Hurts that's what he needs to do to use his legs to find the open wide receiver. And also the running backs are more open because of that particular system, and that's why they have such success.
Yeah,
that's a good point you make. I want to say something real quick, is that from my memory, which isn't the most reliable all the time, 100%, but from my memory, the most memorable interceptions that Dak has had when he's out of the pocket, it has been a lot of them. I guess that's the way I should put it, is sometimes when he runs out of the pocket, he doesn't have the best accuracy. He has a little bit of trouble with that, especially the way he's put in those situations about running. Because when you see him run out of the pocket, he's running out of the pocket because he's in trouble, but not because he wants to, right? Like, he feels more comfortable running out and around, like improvising and stuff like that. It looks like the system that they're putting Dak under is more of like a field general, I would say, of like sit down. Mm-hmm. Which exactly. And this is what I'm saying. That's why I give the edge to Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts was put in the proper system that he was supposed to be, and Dak Prescott wasn't. And that's what makes Jalen Hurts better. He developed into a greater player because he was put in a good situation compared to Dak Prescott, in my opinion.
Jalen Hurts is quicker. He has more agility.
Yes.
And
that may also be because of the injury that Dak Prescott had that may have set him back.
It could be, but that's a really big question that we all have. Seeing the Cowboys, why don't they use Dak Prescott more on the run? Maybe he can't. The Cowboys are stuck with Dak Prescott this year. I just want to say that they're stuck with him. There's nobody out there to replace him to just get a better quarterback. It's either Brady or Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, and they're not going to be able to make that trade because Dak Prescott's just too expensive, honestly. But it's Dak Prescott is just a bigger dude, and it's really hard to bring him down compared to Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is just faster and more quicker, in my opinion.
I disagree with that. It's Okay, no, I agree with that. Jalen Hurts knows when to go down, and Dak Prescott doesn't. So he doesn't really run often, and he kind of just runs into traffic. And Jalen Hurts obviously protects his body and slides. So
they're teaching him well.
Because that's how he was brought up in college. He's a runner. He runs. That's how he gets plays done.
Dak was a runner too.
How come Tua doesn't do the same thing? He came from the same college.
He was, yes.
Yeah, Tua needs
and
to
he was
go
a runner
back to
too.
school.
He was a runner too, yeah. And he's getting broken.
I'm telling you,
right.
it's
he's still
these
in
systems that they're being put in.
Protocol for the Pro Bowl game.
That was crazy. I can't believe he's still in there. It's been like 3 weeks.
Dude, like just sit out, man.
Wow. No, I think it's been more than 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I think
it's been longer.
A whole month.
Yeah.
It's been a whole month?
Yeah. It's been way longer than that.
They gotta figure something out with this guy. So now that you kind of mentioned the Pro Bowl here, let's move on to that and quick thoughts on what you guys think about. They changed the Pro Bowl this year. It's called the Pro Bowl games. If I pull up quickly here, the Pro Bowl skill shows are gonna have here live for the first time ever. It says Thursday, February 2nd, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be in Vegas. Then you got the Pro Bowl games. And they have the rundown here. It's going to be the pregame, which is NFL flag presented by blah, 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 and so on. They got the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge, the AFC versus NFC flag games. And then, they just have other like fun stuff to do. So if you're going there for a pretty fun experience. But it's a very different experience, a new experience for the first time here. We're not seeing just regular old football. We're going to see flag football. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I am excited to see, for them to showcase their skills and some of the non-football skills, whatever unique competitions they decide to do for that day. So, I mean, that part for me, that's exciting for the top stars to show their skills and celebrate, what they've accomplished in a fun way. And it might be a good thing for, I guess, to be there for family and fans. But flag football, no thank you.
No, it's going to be a bore fest of that flag football. I'll tell you right now. The skills, I'm all for it. It should just be all skills. Make the quarterback see who's the most accurate running backs, who's the fastest one, the more agility one, wide receivers, throw like some balls at them to see who can catch like the better balls. But in flag football, I'm not a fan of it. They're still the offensive line and the defensive line. They're not going to push really hard or else they'll get injured in order to take the flag from the quarterback. And what you're going to have I guess a little bit interesting would be the cornerbacks against the wide receivers to see how they do, but they're still not going to play really hard. We like to see tackles as fans. We like to see that blood sport there, and it's not happening. So I think the flag football is going to not be a good thing, but I mean, kudos for them to try something else.
Yeah, and I just think that the reason for all of that you're saying is for that, the way you said it. Man, if I was a player and this is just for fun, it's just something that I wouldn't put my body through. And these players have become more aware and more careful with their bodies. They don't want to risk some kind of injury because we've seen some crazy injuries, especially this season. And you keep seeing these injuries happen, and you want to have a fun football game, and if it gets dirty, they're not gonna want to put their bodies through that. So they're done with it, and the players are just a lot more careful about what they want to do. So they're not risking it at all. The pay's not worth it. It's simple as that. If you don't want that, well, the NFL they have to really look into it. But here you can see the NFL really favoring what the players want, and this is what the players want. This is what they're getting.
Yeah, more protection. I remember a Pro Bowl 15, 16 years ago. It's been a while. Drew Brees actually got injured, the quarterback, in a Pro Bowl. They were playing harder. It was with, rest in peace, Taylor from the Washington.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
he had a tremendous tackle there. They were playing pretty hard. I don't know what happened. They just, all of a sudden, just players didn't want to just get themselves hurt. And I believe that's one of the reasons. I don't think the New Orleans Saints were really happy that Drew Brees got hurt in a Pro Bowl. So they got to figure something else out. I just think it should just be skill drills, and that would make it exciting. I know it's not going to be a football game, but I think as fans, we all understand, and we don't want to see just a bad product on that Sunday.
You got some crazy fans that are like, oh, whatever, but those are kind of like the stubborn ones. But this is the smart thing to do. You don't want your Pro Bowl player to go through like an ACL injury or anything as severe as that for whatever reason it is. If they played as hard as they did in any football game, you just don't want them to go through that kind of stuff. So this is really cool, but this is them figuring it out. Maybe in a few years we can really see something a lot better. But as a fan, I think if you're going to this event, it seems like it might be pretty fun. Aside from that, if you're watching it from your couch, I don't think you really care about this. It's pretty much the summary of this. Last thing here, we saw in the 2-day span some pretty interesting news, especially for me. We saw a mutual agreement of parting ways for Kellen Moore and the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to ask here the question, because after they parted ways, the Cowboys and Kellen Moore, the Los Angeles Chargers. Whoa, that was weird. They picked up Kellen Moore to be the offensive coordinator. So will Kellen Moore elevate the Chargers after being first-round exits against the Jaguars this playoff season? Yams, what do you think?
Yeah, obviously. The Jaguars did eliminate the Chargers, but he got an upgrade. He has Justin Herbert, who is a promising young quarterback. He's still a young quarterback. And moving from, I guess, an offensive mind head coach like McCarthy to a defensive head coach and Staley, he might have more control over the calls he calls over. Maybe he didn't have full control of McCarthy. I don't know what goes down in Dallas, but yes, I think it's an upgrade for Kellen Moore, and we'll see if he was the issue at Dallas or if he continues to bring the same old, we get eliminated, yada yada, let's go home with Justin Herbert.
For a lot of Cowboys fans, this is a big question mark to see what's going to happen with Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy, because he's going to be supposedly making the play calls. So now with Kellen Moore going to the Chargers, we saw all Cooper Rush, how he was having some success with the Cowboys, winning so many games, and he didn't have to make some crazy things happening, and that's a pocket passer, Cooper Rush, just like Herbert is. So now that he's going to have that pocket passer, I'm sure that he's going to have some success. Then we're going to see if it's actually Mike McCarthy's fault for not putting Dak Prescott in the best position to win the games.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see some change. That's all I care. Now, it is going to suck if you just see him completely pop off with the Chargers, because they do have the talent there is pretty different. You got obviously a quarterback upgrade and some better weapons for wide receiver and running back. There's a bunch of memes going around about Austin Eckler being like, oh no, here comes Kellen Moore, he's gonna be the new offensive coordinator, he's gonna be off or whatever. And then some other memes about how it's like third and 14th, and they're going with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams curl routes and stuff like that, just a bunch of silly stuff. But I just want to see what happens. I get to finally see, was it Kellen Moore or not? That's all I care about. I want to see if this is what it is. We're just making progress. Good for him. I like the guy. He seems like a good guy. I just think that he was a problem. I think he was the problem. So now that he's out, I think that this may be better for the Cowboys. And we're going to see with the Chargers if it's going to be better for him.
What makes you think that Mike McCarthy is good enough to put Dak Prescott in the best positions to win? You've seen his resume. Mike McCarthy, he had Aaron Rodgers, he had Brett Favre, and now he had Dak Prescott.
Oh, yeah, I have no clue. Because this, we kind of mentioned here a little bit.
And Kellen
Moore.
Who's
doing the play calling here? How, was Kellen Moore just full on taking the responsibility while Kellen, Mike McCarthy was kind of making the game time decisions, the really key plays, It was kind of, I don't know, maybe like a 90% Kellen Moore, 10% McCarthy type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what went down there. I don't know how many of those calls were vetoed by McCarthy. Or
we also have to see what goes on in the types of play calling we see here. And if we see a lot of the same from last year, this is Mike McCarthy here we're talking about.
And Kellen Moore, his whole career has been about being a pocket passer. In college, pocket passer. He got drafted by the Detroit Lions. Pocket passer with Matthew Stafford there. He goes to the Dallas Cowboys, starting with Tony Romo. Pocket passer. So here's this. He's in the best position he can get. Yeah, he's in a better fit for sure. It's like a promotion for him, honestly. So if you're a Cowboys fan, I would be very, very nervous in this situation, because I don't put Mike McCarthy as a great play caller, especially because you had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I would actually hire Roman from the Baltimore Ravens. He had a lot of success with Lamar Jackson. I think he can figure it out with Dak Prescott.
It's really interesting what they're going to do with Dak Prescott. Are they trying to make him a pocket passer? Are they going to use his legs?
I'll tell you, this is his last year. This is his last season. After this season, his contract, like the money that is owed to him, is less. This is his last year, and this is when the Cowboys either they move on from him after this one, or they keep him still, and with this new strategy. And also Mike McCarthy. This is his last year as well. He has to prove, even though Jerry Jones said that they want to keep him as long as Tom Landry was in the team. I mean, that's just Jerry being Jerry, but this is both of this two individuals last year.
Now, I think that does make me nervous, like you did mention, Andy, is Mike McCarthy having more of the responsibility of the offense, because a lot of the timely decisions, a lot of these important decisions that went on in these games seem to be because of Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
And they were not good decisions.
They were not good decisions. And with the time, you're going to put play calling and the time? That's going to be a lot of multitasking for the guy. Forget it.
Yep. I mean, way too early to call, but if it's really going to sit like that, if they really, really will stick with him throughout this whole offseason as like, yep, we're not getting anyone else. This is how it's going to be.
Yeah, and Dan Quinn is just on the sidelines just waiting for this debacle to happen.
Because this happened after Dan Quinn decided to stay with the Cowboys.
Yep.
Now, who knows if he knew if that was going to happen, Kellen Moore leaving. But if he didn't know, he's probably pretty nervous. He's probably like, oh, man, I really got to pull more of the load now. Or I don't know.
Well, no, I think he's happy because he knows that this is going to just be a sunken ship, and he's going to get the head coaching job.
He's going to take over? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's waiting.
That would be kind of crazy, though. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Definitely. That's why he didn't take any coaching interviews this time around, because he knows what's going to happen.
That's very smart. Yeah.
I don't know if it's very smart to continue teaming up with the Joneses, but...
Well, I mean, from all the coaching positions that were available, it's not that great ones available.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. There wasn't really... You're right. Maybe better opportunities next year, so...
Yeah, I
with
think
Cowboys or someone else, so...
Sean Payton is also... I don't think he's going to be taking a job this year, so I think he's just going to be in Fox.
Actually, I think he might take that job, but...
Which one?
Broncos, but Adam Schefter said something on the Matt McAfee show that they did a second interview with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I said it earlier in the...
Did you? I didn't catch you say that.
The same thing happened with the last podcast that you blamed me for not listening.
Too much researching on my end, but yeah.
I know.
Well, I know it's not a topic, but I just wanted to say that, even though, just make sure that others, didn't hear you.
Yeah,
I'm saying
Jim
it again.
Harbaugh still has an opportunity. They met secretly over there in Michigan. So
secretly.
Well, not secretly because
no, that's actually
everybody.
So I don't know. It might be. It has to be a big time head coach.
Yeah, the Walmart owners. They're desperate for a head coach, and they want a legitimate guy,
a big time name.
Yeah. So but also it's not Sean Payton's decision. Even though he can agree to go to the Denver Broncos, it's up to the New Orleans Saints to agree what trade they're going to take. And I heard reports that they wanted like 2 first rounds, which is insane. And it's going to come into a point that either you're going to just not give anything for him or just get whatever compensation you can get from him.
It's going to be Jim Harbaugh.
I don't know. If I was Jim Harbaugh, I would just stay in Michigan. You have so much success. You're making good money there. Just wait until another year. I'm sure another position in the...
You're not that young. It's time to take a job.
No, but look at the Broncos situation. They have no cap space. They don't have draft picks, I don't think. Or they did get one actually back because of that trade to Miami. So they got 1 first round, but they are stuck with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson might be not that... maybe he is... the quarterback that's just going to fall. So we don't know. It's a lot of question marks.
He can fix him.
But do you really want to fix things? Or do you want to be in a place where you can actually know you can win? So, yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, no, I don't have much to say about that. There's a lot of time for anything to happen. There's plenty of time, and it's going to be pretty sad because... that time feels like forever whenever you're waiting for the new season to come by.
Well, it's still exciting. The free agency, I get you. It's a long, 6 months to wait until football comes back.
Yeah, but there's some times where there's just nothing going on, completely nothing going on.
Well, NBA because is playoffs start.
No.
in April?
I mean specifically for the NFL.
Oh, I see.
Like
I
the-
see.
Yeah. But when you're talking about sports, there's always some sport going on, right? So, yeah. All right. So that's going to be it for this episode of Football Tailgaters. Thank you for those listening to the very end. And we hope to see you guys interacting with us on our social media, which is football_tailgaters. On our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, it's Football Tailgaters. Thank you guys again for listening, and we'll see you guys on our next episode.
Thank you.